and what I'm continuing to do. Right now I will be showing you what I've done in Unity Engine. And yes, so yeah, now I will be showing you what the game is and what I have done, but I need to, yes, now it's going on. Yeah, so right now, as you can see, I can actually move my mouse and see what's in there and everything. And I have also, like, I can also move, I can also jump, yeah, a little bit, and I can do a lot of things here. And right now, what am I gonna do is that I will tell you how I actually coded my Unity project and what I have done, how I created those kind of terrains and everything and movements. So this will be that video. But at the same time, if you want to learn more about Unity, I talked a bit in the beginning of my video about Unity and what Unity is. You can either go back to the beginning of the video and learn about Unity, or what you can do is that you can always refer to my slides and see if there is anything to do. And yeah, so yeah. So right now I will be showing you how I started creating this project and how I created this project. And as you can see from the slides, I think you go to this new project one over here, and then you choose your type of the project that you want to create. In my case, it was this one. Then you choose a project name, for example, survival game, and a location over here. Then you also choose your organization and stuff if you have one, and if you are connected to the Unity cloud and stuff. Then you create a project. After creating a project, the second thing that I have done is to, as you can see over here, after creating a project, I have created my player. And in order to do that, I am gonna show you over here. This is my player, and inside of this we have camera. This is my main camera inside of this, because this player is a capsule, as you can see, but I mainly wanted it to be a capsule or something that could hold the camera, because what am I creating here is a first-person survival game. So we don't specifically have a human player, but instead we are the player. Like, as you can see, we can see the whole things over here. This is what I've done. This is what I've created. So as a player, and because and I have put camera inside of my player because I wanted to because this player will have a lot of functionalities, as you can see over here. And what I want is that I want to see the world throughout from the player's eyes. So that's why I created player and camera and put them inside, like put the camera inside of the player. Yeah. So, and I will explain more about that later on. But this is how I actually created a player. I clicked on here, and then I clicked on capsule, and I rename it as player 1, let's say. And instead of here, I clicked on it again, and I add a camera here, but where is the camera? It should be somewhere over here. Yes, here. I added a camera here. And as you can see, this is the game scene. Yeah, this is my player, but So this is my player, and I have a camera inside. But of course, this is the new one, so it doesn't have any functionalities and everything. But I will be talking about my codes and functionalities in the later on. So yeah, Thank you. So that's just the first part of creating a player in Unity. But of course, there's a lot of things to do as well later on. I will talk about it later on. Yeah. So right now, since I have shown you my player on here, I'm gonna show you what I have done. I will be showing you. Wait a second. I will be showing you how to create a train, and then I will be showing you my game user interface. Then I will be showing you the pickup system. But the thing is, in the play, then showing you all of these. Then I will be coming back to my player system so that I could show you what I have done and what else have I actually done and stuff. So right now I will be showing you how I created the terrain. So first of all, on here, on this hierarchy bar, I created 3D object train. Where is it? Train. And then through this train, I have added some textures, and as you can see, we have some train textures over here. Like if you wanna, yeah, that I will come to there last. But we have this paint texture, razor, lower train texture, a stamp texture. I will be showing you each one in a new, like one by one. But first of all, I want to do is that I want to show you how to use these brushes, because I think it's really important to use them. For example, with different brushes, kind of thing, different brushes, you actually can create this kind of things like mountains, and if you press shifts over here, you can also lower them, and you can also change the brush sizes over here to create trains and to create mountains and everything. And this is the opacity, for example, and if you do it, no, it's too much, but this is the opacity. And if we lower the opacity, I think we would have, yeah, we wouldn't see much, I believe. Yeah. So we wouldn't see much. But this is how you actually create a train. One more thing that I will be mentioning is that we'll be doing this train over here. Yeah. And yes. So one more thing that I will be mentioning is that when you click on this brush paint train, you can actually paint textures and create a light. If you like to so for example, if you would, so this is what I have done before, is that raise and roll, it's in the raise and lower train, and when you choose a brush size or brush type, you can create different kinds of trains, different kinds of ways of doing these. But if you choose the plain texture train, you can actually create and add layers, which is really important when you're creating a train, because train will be the main area where your player will be living. So for example, in my case, in my train I have some trees, some grasses, some the roads and everything. So this is kind of the area that my player is living now, just because it's actually a train, and it's actually a real living environment. But for example, here in this train, what you can do is that you can create a new layer, and you can choose, for example, this one. And if you choose it, yeah, so see, you have it turned black. So this is a new layer, and if we want, we can change the color, I think, around the I think it's actually a mask map or anything, but you can actually change it. And yeah, so this is how you actually add layers and add other things here. For example, if we choose it, and we can actually create other stuff, like we can actually, you know, paint this into green, grass green, and we can actually, you know, what we can do now is that we can delete this. We can delete this train. Remove train. Yeah. So as you can see now, we have this green train. And what I want to do now is that I want to add a new train. And this train will be ground layer. And when you click on this, and when you go to the brushes and, you know, raise and lower train, and if you do this, you can see that, you know, you have different stuff here. But, you know, yeah. And yes. And this is actually a road that I created. For example, this could be a road. This could be anything. You can actually create anything that you want to create here, which is really nice because this is like your dream environment. So you can do anything that you want to do. And over here, I think this is, if you want to make it more metallic, you can actually increase this. And if you want to increase the smoothness, for example, you can also do that by doing this. And the second thing, the other thing that I will be showing you when creating a train is that you can add grasses, and you can also add trees over here. And what you want to do is that if you want to add a tree, you go to this one, you first, what you do is that you go to this one, the third one, paint trees. Then you click on add tree, and then edit trees. Then you add a tree. You choose some prefab. Then you definitely you do it like this. And if you want to add another one, let's say, and if you want to add a donut, for example, like it's not a tree, but like you can add anything here. So if you add, if you had a fern or whatever, you can see that by going on, and you know, just a second. Oopsies. Yeah, so you can actually create it by doing this, for example. Yeah, so yeah, as you can see, there is, I want to go to this because like sometimes if the prefab is not so big, it cannot be seen too much, like too well sometimes. So maybe that's why. But you can also add other trees, like you can add grasses, for example. And you can again go back to this brush over here, and you can also change the brush size, see? But it will not affect the, yeah. So, oh no, I think it's over here that you can actually change brush size. I don't think that you can do that. Yeah, over here, for example. It's so hard to see it, but this is how I actually add trees. But also, you can also add other stuff like food, donuts, and everything, and yeah. And so this is actually, it doesn't add donuts. I think the one, it adds the, wait, maybe it does. Yeah, so it added donuts, and donuts are quite small in this. Like, since it's your dream environment, you can add anything here. Of course, this is a small one, but yeah. What else you can do with the tree sizes is that you can actually do the density, and if you do the density, if you change the density, maybe we should do this, and it would probably, because you see that, when you actually add donuts, it doesn't add everywhere. But what you can do is that I believe if you add the density size, it will probably add into more places. But yeah, and it will be make it more closer as well. Yes. One of the other things that I added was that was flowers, and I didn't add donuts for the I didn't add donuts for this for this one, but yeah, so you can also add flowers, I believe. Yeah. You cannot see it here because it's not, but what you can do is that you can also go to this prefab over here. I think, oh no, I think we can actually do that through the 3D prefab itself. So if I go to prefabs over here, and not this one, maybe this one, no. I think you can change the size and model and everything through the prefabs. Yeah, I think what you can do over here is that you can for example, I think you can change the sizes and everything through here. If you go to prefabs, any prefab, like this one actually, the fantasy environments. By the way, you might also ask how I actually ended up creating this kind of trains, or like how did I found this kind of fabrics and stuff. What I have found is that how I actually added my trees and stuff into my project so that I could actually add those models to my train is that I went to assets folder, not assets, sorry, I went to Windows package manager, and in my package manager you can see all the different kinds of plugins and everything here. And one of the things that you can actually do is that you can go to Unity assets, Unity asset store, and what you can do here is that you can first sign in, then you can actually have, in this asset store you can find a lot of things. So this is what I want to show you. So if you go there, if you log in or sign in throughout everything, it could be your Google account, it could be your Unity account, anything, you can find different trains. Like you can find characters, environments, animations, and how I actually got my assets is that I went there and I wrote it like fantasy environments, and there you can choose free assets, and here you can download everything. And by the way, you can also have a look at what kind of assets and what kind of things that you could create with these assets. And for example, I think I used this one, so it's downloaded for me now, which I can also open in Unity editor, I think. And yeah, so what you do is that, let me show you. So if you want to import an object or a model for your train, or if you want to import anything, like any kind of textures that you want to use, creating your environment, creating your train, what you can do is that, for example, you can go here and you can do that. You can add to my assets. You can click on add to my assets. Then this will ask you, Unity will ask you, the asset store will ask you if you want to go back to Unity. Then you say that you can actually open it up. And then you click on this download button over here. and it just, this page up, this one directly comes up, like directly comes up. Then like you don't even need to do anything. Then you import everything just like this, and then you import. Then you would have more trains, and you would have, yeah. So this is how you actually create the, like this is how you actually got the things that you need for creating a train. One more thing about creating a train is that yeah, so one more thing about create, and now you can actually see, that it's, the name is Lampy environment, love poly environment, sorry. And I think what you can see is that, well, it should be over here. I think so. Wait, assets and oopsies, prefabs and I think it's over here. Yeah. So you can actually see, yeah, for example, this is also another prefab. And you can, what I was telling you, that you can always change the, let's go back to my Unity assets, fantasy environment, prefabs. I will show you something, guys. For example, if you click on this, and if you want to do something different with it, you can always make it bigger, or you can add stuff as well. You can add components, and you can actually create materials for it. Like, what I mean by creating a material is that you go to assets, and then you click on here, and then you click on material, and then you say that you just type something like my first material, for example. And this material will give, I want to give it to some colors, and I want to give this one, for example. And what will happen is that if we go back to fantasy environments, and wait, I need to wait a second. Yeah, so save it, and then you go back to fantasy environments, and then you go to prefabs, and then this one, right? Then you add this material over here. Then you see you made it red. So this is how the materials in Unity work, and this is a really cool feature, because you can actually change the colors, and you can do anything with materials. And I also like the fact that, you know, when you click on this, for example, I can save this like this. And what am I gonna do now is that whenever I want to go back to here, and I want to add a tree, and I want to select this one that I've chosen, that I have shown you before, because this is big. And then when you go back, oopsies. I think I can. I don't know why it doesn't work for now, but wait a second. I will figure it out. You can always do, like, I was just gonna say that you can always change everything through Unity. And what I wanted to show you that, for example, if you create a material like this, or anything that is not in the asset store, you can do that. Like, you can actually go and you can create new things, like new assets, new things through the materials. And I think I want to try it over here so that I can actually show you. Yeah, so see, but sometimes because see, you add a lot of you add a lot of these things, so you can always do that. So you, yeah, so this is how you actually create a train. But of course you can do, what else can you do? You can actually go, one more thing that I want to show it to you is that is a really cool thing. Right, it's a bit long, but this part of the train video, but um what you can do is that, for example, if you want to make your trains in a different way, you can always you click on this, and if you want to make your train bigger, you can always add more textures, more types. And what I mean by this is that, for example, if I what I want to do is that I want to take this to here, and as you can see, for example, if I go to my brushes and if I go to my lower trains, and if I do something like, this, as you can see, we have a hole here, like a hole here when creating a train. But what I would want is that, for example, if I add a new train here, let's say that I copied it and I added a new one, and mm, it won't look good, just because, see, you always have this big hole inside. To prevent this, Unity provides us a really good tool. I'll show you now. So you click on this train, then you go to this part, Inspector, and inside of Inspector, just like we always go through, like I have gone through this one, and I have gone through with you this one, but like this one is the tool that we need for that. And see, now it's closed. Because what you do is that when you click on it, this will give you, Unity will give you the parts which you can create your own train. And when you click on this, you can see that it kind of continues so it closes the gap, and it continues to do this. And so this is how you actually do that. And you can always add a new train over here as well. And what you can do, you can always go, and when is a really cool feature is that you can like see, like it doesn't makes it look bad when you actually create like mountains here, or when you have to click on shift and to lower your train, to lower your mountains. So when you click on shift and right click on the mouse, I think you can always, or left click, sorry, you can lower your mountains like that. And because there's no tool here, as it says, like, there's no tool here to delete, so you need to do shift thingy a lot to lower your trains and everything. So this is how you actually create trains. So after creating my train, this one over here, I have added something called a pickup script. But I have added something called pickup. Pickup is a fact that when you go and pick up objects. So in order to create this pickup method, I first imported some models from this asset store that I will be showing you guys, from this one. And I did it as the same way that I showed you before. I got there and I added to my assets. Then I go to my open in Unity. Then I went to open in Unity. And over here I download it. Then I import it. That was this. And Yeah. So the second thing that I did after downloading and importing it, I put some like objects on it. I put some cake, some ice cream, some some donuts, some waffle on it, so that my object could pick up that. The other next thing that I did was to create a script for that. And I haven't shown you how to create scripts before because I think I'm gonna show you all how to create scripts in the end. But notice that it's really important in Unity when if you really want to make an interactive game or a game in general, writing C# code is really important because C# is the language that the Unity use. Also, when you create C#, you can add it to any object that you want. For example, I have added in the past like C# into player, camera, and everything. And now I will be showing you my pickup code. The other thing that I want to do is that I went to create, I click on my projects folder over here, and I went to assets. I created a folder called scripts, and after scripts, I clicked on here, I clicked on scripts first, then I clicked on here, then I create a C# script. And then I wrote the code that I am actually going to show you now. So here, as you can see, I have the code for picking up objects. So what I did first is that I refer to my game object, which is player. Then I used something called platform. And platform is not an object, but it's actually it's actually an empty game object, as I remember. And for example, I have this hold position, which I referred it with the. If I go back to game, I have my own camera here, which is over here. And inside of this, I have a pickup, hold position, and pickup camera. I think if I go to my pickup, I could actually show you. Yeah, so it is an actually empty game object. An empty game object is something called. It's like an empty box, but inside of this, you can also create like new objects, like players, not players, but you can create 3D objects like cubes, cylinders, planes, and quads. Everything that you can imagine, you can create in an empty game object. But of course, you can also create normal objects. But I think empty game objects is the one which actually helps you to have some different features. Rather than when you have a capsule game object, you have different features than you would have when you have an empty game object. But of course, it is what it is. But it is a really cool feature, and I think learning about objects is really important. Anyways, I go back to my script now, and I'm gonna talk about it. Then I create this public float with the fact of 500 float, like 500 speed. Then I also created a pickup range and private rotation sensitivity, which is used for rotating an object. Then I created a held object, and held, I think those are the states. Like whenever you got so it's not a state, but I think game object here it's a state. I think because it's also an object, but it's a state of an object, I believe, that we use to pick up things. So, for example, this private game object will be used to pick up things. Then I added this rigid body element, and rigid body is a really cool feature when you use players. And rigid body actually has a lot of features inside of it as well. I'm just gonna show you. So if we add a cube here, and if I go back to if I go back here, and if I do rigid body, by the way, here you can see you can have mass, you can also have drag like angular and everything. But one of the cool things that I want to mention is that in Unity you have this inspector. When you create a system, when you create an object, or when you create anything, you have this inspector system where you learn about, where you actually understand about your, where you have the features of the object that you have created. For example, you can either remove the components or you can change the components. And if you don't need it, of course you are gonna remove it. But you can also add new components like script machine, like widget body, like box collider, and everything. And if you add a box collider, you can see that like if the box is triggered, like if it's being triggered, it's being like, if it has any kind of connection with the target that you're gonna do, you can actually click on it. But of course, like, it depends on you. And of course you can also change the materials via here. And if I go to my materials, for example, and if I do this, I think it would work. No. But I would like to believe that when you go to assets, and when I yeah, we don't have any materials for this. But of course, like, I think you would have a material. Like, if I put this over here, if I put the material that I created over here, as you can see, the color has changed. And I think, you know, in Unity, there are lots of features which you can actually affect and change. And there are some also that I haven't mentioned, but there are some key letters in the keyboards that you use. For example, if I open my keyboard over here, and if I click on if I click on F, for example, I think, if I click on F, you can see that it doesn't work on this online keyboard, but you can see that I actually see my objects. And I can, for example, if I go to player, and if I click on F, I go to the player. And if I go to my train, and if I click on that, I go to the train. So the only thing, if you want to go, and if you want to select objects, and if you want to go to objects, the only thing that you need to do is to go there, and of course, just go there, and also do the like F, like just by F you can go and you can visit objects like this, like, you know, not the visit, but you can see the objects in a better way. And yes, so yeah, so this is so let's go back to pickup script. Then I have a bool called can drop, and I can drop the objects, and it is true. So the other thing that I have done is that I wrote this code to pick up the objects. For example, if you want to pick up an object, you can use this input system. An input system is a really important one because I'm going to show you then. So if you use key down E, then in my project you can actually pick up everything. And there's a lot of things about here. Like, I have created functions called drop objects and pick up objects. You can always, I'm gonna link my GitHub into my project, so you can always go and visit it and see this code over there. But you can also throw objects, and you can also stop clipping. There's a lot of things that you can do. You just write normal code, and so you can make objects do a lot of things inside of Unity. And so this is how I actually created my own pickup script. Now the second last thing that I want to talk about before finishing my video, also the the Unity part of the project, which is the last part of the video, right now I will be talking about the UI, the bars how I created these bars. And in order to create these bars, first I came here and I created something called canvas. And first I came here, I clicked on the add, or over here add, and then I went to UI, and inside of the UI I chose canvas, and inside of canvas I then went to UI again, and I added slider. And sliders are quite important because here I not only here I changed the color of the slider, then here is the fill area that I have, and of course this one we don't need it, so we can delete it. And we have this one, yeah. So I changed the color of this place, this one over here. Then what I did was that, of course, like I changed, because it's like, you know, when I click on player, for example, it's a default layer, right? Like when I click on player. But here it's not a default layer. It's a UI layer. See, it's a really important one because I think it's a layer. So we have to be in this UI layer. And layers I like things that I think it makes the code a bit tidier, and it doesn't, so that we wouldn't seem lost in our code. But anyways, I added some background, I added some fill area, then I added some handle area. But I don't think that we will need handle area, so I deleted. So then I created something called health bar, this one, like player health. So this is a script that I created for the health bars, and I'm gonna mention it about a bit. So I have created something called private float health, and float is a float, so it's a decimal number. So health can be a decimal number. Then I created something called lerp timer. The third thing that I created is that max health. And max health is one of the things that, you know, is giving us the percentage. So, like, if I say that 90, then our percentage would be 90. Now, then I mentioned my front end and back health bar images over here. Then I created something to update health whenever our player is getting damaged. Then I created this public void updates EU. So this one is actually updating the UI every time that something happens to our health. And whenever something happens to our health, of course our thirst and our hunger will also decrease according to our health, or also increase, of course. There's this take damage as well over here, and also restoring health. And for example here, this is something that a lot of people use, like time.delta time. This actually tells us to decrease health or decrease hunger, decrease thirst through time. So the more the time gets by, the hungrier you get, the more thirsty you get. Or, like for example, so this is my health script. So the last thing that I want to mention is actually something called scripts. As I mentioned before, scripts are like kind of things where actually gives the player a kind of movement and a kind of things to move and to look up. Because if we just have this player for like without any script, it won't do anything. It won't look up, it won't go, and it won't pick up things, it will do nothing basically. But with scripts we can give this this asset more a kind of way to move and do things. It's kind of like blueprints in Unreal Engine. So I'm gonna show you what I have for scripts for my player. So right now I want to go to my player and I want to show you this inspector panel, because inspector panel, as I mentioned before, is really important because it will have all our scripts and it will also have some other things like character controller and widget body and everything. And now I will be showing you my scripts over here, what I have done for that. But first of all, I want to show you something else, and this is actually really interesting because with this one we can create our own actions with our own values. What I mean by that is that when you go to, for example, in this action map, in this input actions, I have created something called action map. An action map is kind of a map. For example, if I write drive here, we will also have some actions on it. Like, we can add actions. So if we go back to on food, for example, we can see that I have done a few actions over here. I have done this up, down, and key buttons, and which is really important, which is really interesting, because if I wanted to say T, let's say that, or maybe if I wanted to say L on the keyboard, what it will do is that instead of in order to go up, we are using now L, but in the past we used to use L. We used to use W. So these are kind of telling which buttons on the keypad is working for which one. So, for example, if I want to go down, I use S in the keyboard. And if I want to go left, I use A in the keyboard. If I want to go right, I use D in the keyboard. This is important because these are the actions that we are going to refer to when we are writing our code. And, I've already wrote some code, so I'm going to talk about it, but wait a second. So, for example, here I have the whole input actions. I didn't write it, by the way. What I did was that when the first input actions first got out, so, they gave it, so, if I wanted to just create another input actions, I think, if I go on here, I have created this asset, because it says that if you don't want to generate a C# class, then you don't generate it. But I think it's really good tool to generate the C# class, like a script, because it's really help us. It just tells us, for example, where is where. Like, if I want to look up, it's a value, and it also has the ID and everything. The other thing that I have done for my player to look up and look down is I created a script called look. This is not this one. Player look. Yeah. So here I have created some objects, some cameras, some rotations and everything. And here I created something called process look. So what will it do is that float, for example, mouse x it will take mouse x value, and when we left click, I guess, the mouse, it will give us the value of the mouse, and with the tilde time it will change our look. For example, if we're gonna go, x rotation would be clump. Then for example, x rotation would be equal to mouse y. And for example, if we want to use the x rotation, of course we cannot look like 180 degrees, because it wouldn't be realistic. So what we did was that we look from -90 angle to to plus 90 angel. Then we use something called quaternion Euler, which is then we which is I think which is to rotate the camera locally around the x-axis as written here. Then the other script that I've done was this one, and this one is a move script, and move script is really important because this is how we move. And for example, as you can see, we have jump height, we have speeds, we have gravity, we have rules like is grounded, is in the ground, as the player is in the ground. We have velocity, we have character controller, like as I showed you, the character controller is the one with the component one. Then what we did over here is that we moved our vector with the move direction. And as you can see, we have a whole lot of things here. And this is the script that I actually used for moving. And what else? This is the pickup script I showed you. Yeah, and this is the input manager script. An input manager script is it's gonna use every value that we have in the, for example here, we refer to player input actions, which I showed you before. Then we have on foot there. Then we wanted to refer to that. So that's what we refer. And also in the play motor, we refer to motor. And like in the look, for example, we refer to look. So this is like objects, but this one is different because we actually go to player input, then we find on foot actions over there, like this one. Wait, where is it? Yeah, this one. Then we refer to look or function or whatever that's on foot. Yeah, we refer to. Wait a second. No, there's not this one. On foot. Yeah, this one. So it will. So we will have a lot of we use this in this script. And the second thing that we use. What else did I do? What else? Yeah, that's it. Yeah. So this one is actually for the camera movements, and it will help us. So it gets minus y and mouse y and mouse x and mouse y, and it gets the axis like row axis and everything. And so this is what it does. It actually shows you how to rotate around the camera and everything. So yeah, this is the player camera that helps us to look as well. So yeah, so I think this is all for now, all for my projects. But yeah, if you have any questions and stuff, I would love to answer. Yeah.